Alright, today we're going to talk about a 1600cc Volkswagen Type 1 engine. On these engines, over 30 years of me messing with them, my Uncle Cecil got me started. I've learned a lot from him. I've been around Reed Garrison. I learned a lot from him. Buck King is another good person who's taught me some things. All these mechanics have been very, very inspirational to me over the years to learn what I can learn about these engines. Hopefully I can share these things with you on this engine build and show you some of the important things that you should do and some of the things that people do on these engines you don't do. This engine, number one, there's 3 thrust bearing washers that should be run on the flywheel. Now this engine, whoever built this particular engine, use the 4 thrust washers. That is very wrong. Thrust washers work as a bearing. You have 3 of them. One rolls and runs with the flywheel. The other one stays put with the thrust bearing, and the one in the middle acts as a bearing. Now if you put 4 in there, you cause the 2 in the middle to start rotating, and they start to work against each other, causing the rest of them to rotate, and then it begins to cut a groove into the crankshaft and will cause the crankshaft to literally sever the flywheel totally off. This engine would eventually blow on all the pieces. Next thing I noticed, they didn't tighten down the flywheel. It has a 1 nut in the middle that holds the whole flywheel to the crankcase assembly. It's supposed to be torqued down to 253 foot-pounds of torque, a hell of a lot. It wasn't. Because of that, there's 4 dowel pins that hold the flywheel in place to the crankshaft. And the flywheel was walking around and was wallering out the dowel pin holes. This flywheel is no good no more. Crankshaft in this engine is shot, and when I got to even looking further, somebody for some reason had allowed the studs in the case to back out and didn't run them back down, because the studs in this engine are so far out they're actually touching the rocker arm assembly. Another thing, I've never seen it, but mistakes were made. I'm not perfect, but I have been at this for over 30-some years. I've learned a lot. I don't know a lot like some other people that are really brilliant in the mechanic world, but I know these engines pretty good. So we're going to tear this one down today. I'm going to show you the basic 10-work disassembly, set it on the table, top end of the engine, which is the cylinder heads, push rod tubes, and push rods. And then I'm going to get into short block, which is the pistons and the crankshaft and the camshaft and the lifters and so on into the engine. Lay it all out on the table, explain what's going on, and then we're going to send it off to the machine shop, have the block line board, have a crank located, get it turned, put new bearings in it, see where I need to be, probably new pistons, cylinders, rings, wrist pins. The heads look fairly new. I'll send them to the machine shop, have them checked. We'll build this engine, put it back in its stock configuration, and crank it up on the engine stand and tune it so when I put it inside the tricycle, all I got to do is bolt it up, turn the key, push the button, crank it up, and ride out of here. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm going to get everything set up. We'll start tearing it down.